Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So, I know I asked you guys at the end of last episode for some trade requests and stuff like that. Well, I'm deciding to pre-record this episode ahead of time just because I don't really think this team actually needs to make any changes, just because of on how deep this roster is, and also the fact we don't have a lot of salary cap. So I really don't think we need to make any changes going into the playoffs because we're more than likely going to be a playoff team. Like, we have really good chemistry and all that, and even if we wanted to, we could probably put in one of these guys as a depth option into the lineup if we really need to make any changes. Like, for example, if Penner's not performing too well, maybe we want to give an opportunity to a younger guy like Spalling, just because they kind of work both on the fourth line. But I think in general our team is just really deep, so I don't think there's anything we could really do to make this team much better. And like I was also saying, like the salary cap situation, we do not have a lot of cap space. As you can see, only 650K left in cap space. Actually, not even 650K. Only like 65K in cap space, it looks like. So yeah, we could legit like make no moves unless we were to get rid of somebody with a big contract, like for example with Shelley, or if we were to get rid of Bentley, that type of thing. But it's kind of pointless because of how they've been producing so far this season. So yeah, we're not going to be making any trades probably in this episode unless this team falls off a cliff by the deadline and stuff like that. But otherwise, I think this team is just going to stay as is for the rest of the season. And yeah, I think that we should be a playoff team again, even though we are kind of like streaky as of late. We're 23-17-1. We're doing really good in our last 10 games, but we started off the season kind of below 500, and that's probably why we're at this situation where we are right now. And yeah, we have a big game coming up against Buffalo, who's the best team in the league right now. They're 35-8-1, which is absolutely insane. So that's going to be a very tough team to beat, but it'd be nice to see if our team could like actually get a win against them this season. Also, I thought it would be good to pre-record this episode just because of with my new job, I want to have videos recorded for a couple weeks ahead of time. So anyways, let's get simulating and see what happens up until the deadline. And like I said, if for some reason at the deadline we're fighting to make the playoffs, maybe I have to make some changes. I don't really know, but let's see how this team does for the rest of January. We should be pretty decent, I would assume. Game against Buffalo, the big game of the season. Oh yeah, I forgot at the end of last episode, I gave Galiev a 2-year extension, which is nice. And we lose 5-2 to Buffalo. Okay, that kind of makes sense, though, because of how good they've been. But then we bounce back with 2 wins, a shootout loss, another win, loss, and a win. Okay, 28-19-2. That looks much better than what our record was at the beginning of this episode. And look at that. Agostino just randomly jumped up to 58 points. So Agostino is all of a sudden doing really well. There's a chance that he could get just below 100 points this season, which would be awesome because he's been a really, really good player the last few years, ever since we brought in Michkov for this team. We're at 58 points now, so we're still in the wild card spot, which is really interesting. But if we were in the Pacific Division, for example, we'd be tied for second place, only behind the Kraken, so which is actually where Jacob Chikrin is. So that's kind of neat. Let's continue to simulate and see if this team could win some more games. And yeah, hopefully we could have a good run in the playoffs again this year, because I'd like to get a third Stanley Cup in a 5-year span if I can. But if we can't, it's not the end of the world. But it'd be nice to win a Stanley Cup this year after last year losing to the Penguins, which we technically should have won, I'd say, because we were technically the better of the two teams. But unfortunately, we could not pull off that three-peat. And yeah, our team is definitely doing a lot much better in the second half of the season than they were in the first half, I'd say. Toronto has fired their head coach, not a surprise. I wonder also how much Levu Lee fans were triggered by my thumbnail in the last episode, because I decided to put Austin Matthews in an Arizona uniform. 33-21-4, so dropped a couple games near the end of that, but that's okay. And wow, oh my god. Agostino might be going off completely on the second half. Like, I kind of have to look and see after I record this episode or next episode or whatever, and just to see how he's been doing in the second half, because I'm pretty sure he's on a ridiculous pace in the second half of the season. He's up to 73 points now in 57 games. So him and Michkov must be picking it up a lot. Usually Michkov does pick it up in the second half of the season quite a bit. So, and Buffalo is like literally 3 wins away from hitting 50 wins already, and we're only in early March, which is kind of ridiculous. So let's go a couple more games before the deadline, and we'll take an updated look at just make sure every line is gelling. I don't think we're going to make any trades, like I said, just because of the cap space situation. And we beat Buffalo. Okay, that's pretty nice. We beat the best team in the NHL. That's pretty great to see. Because if you could beat the best team in the NHL, you could beat pretty much anybody. And now we're second place in our division, only behind Colorado, who we made that trade with in the last episode to bring in Cale Makar, which is interesting. And yeah, the Sabres are right around 100 points already on the season, which is actually insane. Huh. So we're not going to be finishing probably in the top 3 in the standings, I'd say. But that's okay, because maybe we'll have a better playoff run than most teams because of that. So, let's take a look quickly and just to see if there's anything that's outstanding that's not that great on our roster going into the playoffs. Well, yeah, it looks like Michkov is all of a sudden picking it up. 34 goals now for him. Shelley's got 34 goals as well, so we might have 2 40-goal scorers this season. Actually, we might have 3 if Kagorodov could pick it up. So we have a 30-goal scorer on the third line. That's actually kind of ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know if Shelley's going to stay here that long term or what. Because you would think Kagorodov should technically take over Shelley's spot on that second line. So I don't know. Or we could let go of Shishkinov, but Shishkinov's a good passer, so that's kind of interesting there. Third line seems to be doing pretty poorly defensively. I'm going to take Penner out of the lineup, I think. Even though he's got 10 goals, I'm going to just try and change up that fourth line a little bit for the last half of the season, just because I want to give Spaulding some of it an opportunity to play, because he has not played yet this season. And then, yeah, Delmo and Penner will be depth for the rest of the regular season, and we'll see how that plays out. And then, how's the defense doing so far? Makar's driving the offense, as I was expecting, and pretty much everybody else is just very defensive, which makes sense. Makar dropped down to an 82 overall because of his age, so he's probably going to retire this year, which is unfortunate, but we brought him in for a 1-year deal only, or on a 1-year deal, and both goalies have the exact same save percentage, and Galiev's just a little bit better goals against wise, so our goaltending still hasn't been phenomenal, but I'll take it. Korea's jumped up actually to an 81, which is kind of surprising, and then Galiev is an 80. So that's very interesting that we have a goaltending situation that hasn't been necessarily that good in the regular season right now, but normally in the playoffs they actually step it up. At least, what's his name is, Galiev does that a lot. So we're just hoping for a good playoff run from Galiev if possible. But yeah, let's get into this trade deadline. I don't think, like I said, we're going to make any trades. Let's actually go into it just to see if there's anything out there, but we don't have the cap space really to make trades, so... But let's just see if there's anything interesting. There's a couple guys on 1-year deals, but like I said, we'd have to trade away somebody that is making money in order to upgrade somewhere, which I don't think there's really anywhere we could upgrade. Sanchez had 1 year, but 6.5. We'd have to trade away Shelley in order to do that. So I don't really think there's a way we could actually probably trade for somebody, because if we look at our cap situation here, like let's look at these. Sorted by the amount of money, we have 3 players signed to $12 million deals, 1 to 11.6, which is still a steal. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything we could do. Like, we'd have to probably flip Geeky, Shelley, one of our big players in order to get that guy back, or to get any guys that make her over $3 million, because pretty much a lot of our guys are making over $5 million, and then everybody else is like 2 and below. So, yeah, I don't think there's really any need to actually make a trade for us this deadline. So, I'm not going to make any trades. I'm going to stay the course with our team and see what happens, which might be a bad move, but who knows. I think our team is deep enough anyways. Let's simulate the rest of the season and see how we finish off this season, and then we'll take a look at player stats, team stats, all that stuff, and see who we're up against in the first round if we make the playoffs, because now Austin Matthews has been injured, so that's a big loss to the team. Let's actually go to... Who's scratched? Actually, we'll go replace player, because I think that will put Penner on the top line. So Penner will get a good opportunity there, going from a fourth line role / depth forward role. See what he could do on the top line, as Austin Matthews has returned. How has Penner done? 11-7. I don't remember what he had before. I think he only picked up 1 goal since playing on that top line. So there you go. Matthews is back in. And yeah, our team is definitely doing a lot better. A couple losses down the stretch, but that's okay, because maybe we don't want to have the best season, but we do want to make the playoffs. Shishkinov was never injured. Final few games of the year, there's a couple more wins. Marcus Vidicek on waivers. Do we even have the cap space to claim this guy? Probably not. He would be a solid depth piece to have for the playoffs and stuff like that, but I don't see the need, so I'm not going to claim him. There's a couple more wins, a shootout loss, and another shootout loss, and we finished 49-25-8. It's pretty solid. Not our best season, but wow. Okay, Agostino had an insane second half of the season. I'm almost sure of it because I'm pretty sure he wasn't on pace for over 100 points when I last remember. He missed one game this season and still had 108 points on the season, so him and Michkov must have had an insane second half of the season. So we're going to have to definitely take a look and kind of compare the first half of the season to the second half for these two guys because I feel like both of them probably went off. Let's advance today just to get all 82 games done for the entire NHL, which there it is. We finished second best in our division, so we caught up almost to the Avs. They finished with 108 points. We finished with 106. Preds with 105. We were better than every team in the Pacific Division. The Blue Jackets finished top of the Metro with 113 points. And yeah, the Sabres had a 60-win season with 125 points. But are they going to be a first-round exit is the question. Because usually when you have a good season, you do not make it past the first round, you know. So let's take a look at the standings just to see what we did well at and what we didn't do well at. So we finished fourth best in the NHL behind Colorado, Columbus, and Buffalo. Not too bad. Goals for per game on average. We were the second best offensive team and only the second team in the NHL to have over 4 goals a game. We just scored below Buffalo, so we're one of the best offensive teams for sure, which is what I was kind of expecting with guys like Cale Makar and Matthews added to this team because this team was already a little bit gross. But yeah, we were a really good offensive team this season. Goals against wise, we actually improved, it looks like. Yeah, we improved quite a bit, it looks like, in that last little bit of the season, 3.06, so we scored like almost a goal more per game than we allowed. Not the best defensive team, but still pretty damn good. Power play percentage was one of the best as well at 24.6%, only behind New Jersey, Chicago, Washington, and of course Buffalo at 30% for Buffalo. God damn. Yeah, Buffalo's a tank team apparently. And penalty kill wise, our penalty kill still was not that great, 78.2%, so that's obviously our weakest point this season. We did not score a single shorthanded goal either, which is kind of weird. We were not that good on home ice, 21-17 on 3. And on the road, we were 28-8-5. So actually a really good road team, but not a good home team, I'd say. And 7-1-2 in our last 10 games. Let's take a look at these player stats because I am very intrigued now that I saw Agostino had 108 points. So Austin Matthews, 87 points in 76 games. Pretty good season for him. Glad I brought him in. I don't know if he's going to retire in the offseason. If he does, it's not that end of the world, but I'm really hoping he could put up some playoff numbers like he did in Toronto, because if he could do that, that will definitely help us going into multiple rounds and whatnot. But yeah, very good season from him. Not as much goals as he was scoring in Toronto, like the 40-goal seasons, but a lot of assists and yeah, just good plus-minus and whatnot. So he definitely helped out that top line. Geeky, 79 points. Wow, that might be a career high for Connor Geeky. Yeah, that's a career high, I think, from him, which is really nice to see considering he's in a lesser role too than he was last season, because last season I think he played top line center, but he picked up more points this year. So that's really nice considering we still have him signed for a couple more seasons. And then Gordon Bentley on a 1-year deal, 73 points playing on the third line and power play time, I'm pretty sure. That's a really good season from him. He's been actually a pretty decent pickup since we brought him in, because when we brought him in originally, 47 points wasn't too bad, and then he's progressively gotten better every season. So I'd say he's been one of the perfect third line pickups that I've had for this roster. Penner, 18 points in 67 games before we scratched him. Spalling, 12 points in 21 games. Wow, since putting him in, he's been phenomenal on that fourth line. 10 goals in 21 games as a fourth liner. That's only averaging, how much minutes? 9-10 on ice. 10 goals on 46 shots is really impressive. So we'll probably start with Spalling into the playoffs, I'd say. And if for some reason Spalling's not doing too well, we could put in Penner. But right now, Spalling looks like he might be actually a pretty solid player to have on this roster on the fourth line. And then Demo, 3 assists in 4 games. Left wing wise, Agostino, 108 points is absolutely insane. Wow, he's had he would have been on pace for over 100 points in 2032-33. So literally, he's had like 4 straight 100-point seasons. We could kind of say in a sense, but he's now up to 974 points in 953 games. So he's almost at 1,000 points before he's reached 1,000 games played. So this guy is definitely a channel legend, I'd say at this point. 226 for his plus minus as well, which is nuts. He had 30 power play points this year. What else do we got here? Not great face-off stats because he's a winger. A lot of hits, a lot of block shots, or a couple block shots. Very good takeaway numbers for a winger, I'd say as well. Yeah, I'm hoping that Agostino could continue doing what he's been doing the last few years because we still got him locked up for 7 years. And I am really glad that Ajax signed him for an 8-year extension, especially when we have Michkov in our lineup as well. And then Shishkinov, 86 points. Wow. His contract comes to an end this year, so we might end up losing him because he might demand a lot of money. But that is his best season of his career. He's also been progressively getting better since the start of it. 17 and 47, 49, 52, 62, then 86 this year. Hopefully he has a strong playoffs. McIntyre, 42 points is pretty good as well for the amount of ice time he was getting because he was only getting 13 minutes in the game. Not too bad. 28 points from McGillis on the fourth line. I don't know if McGillis comes back this offseason because he might demand more than 2.25. So, but that's still really good from the left wingers. And in right wing wise, Michkov does not hit 50 goals this season because of his injuries, but he does pick up 96 points in 79 games. So he does not reach 100 points for the first time with us, but it's probably because of those 4 games he missed to injury, or 3 games he missed to injury. My math is off, but whatever. But still, almost a 50-goal season again with us, which is absolutely insane. He's over 1,000 points already, over 600 goals. Nice. Hopefully he has another strong playoffs because he's been one of our best playoff players since we brought him in. Like, he's almost had literally 3 straight 30-point playoff performances, kind of like a Kucherov, you know? And then Kagerodov, wow. What a breakout year for Mikhail Kagerodov. And this is where I'm kind of like, who the heck do we keep on this right wing side? Because Shelley's contract comes to an end this year. He had 45 goals and 65 points. But look at Kagerodov. He could technically take over that second line spot from Shelley. And he picks up still 42 goals on the third line and power play time. So, yeah, you can see why I traded away like Redmond like last episode. Because, my God. That's absolutely insane. 3 40-goal scorers on the right wing. And in Ustorf, 25 points ain't too bad. But that means in Fords, we had how many 40-goal scorers? We had 3 40-goal scorers and in 4 35-plus goal scorers. We had 2, 4, 6 25-goal scorers. And we had 8 20-plus goal scorers. So our team is absolutely insane in terms of depth scoring on offense. How about defense? Cale Makar, 41 points, not too bad. Not the best offensive season he's probably had, but he is dropping off, so. But definitely a good catalyst to have on the back end on the power play to kind of replace Chikrin. Sasaki, 22 points is pretty solid, plus 41 this season. Wow. Sasaki's been really good defensively, plus 113 already. He's only got 113 career points as well, which is interesting. Burkov, 18 points and a plus 31. That's pretty good from the young 20-year-old. His ELC comes to an end this year. Bilesma, 15 points plus 15, like that. Jankomov's 12 points and a plus 22 is not too bad either. Hordachuk, plus 24 and 8 points is not too bad. And then Ortmeyer only got to play 2 games with 1 goal. Goalie-wise, Korea was not too bad. He won a lot of games, but his save percentage and goals against ain't that greatest. And then Galiev was pretty solid, 18, 9, and 5 with 3 shutouts, a 901 and a 2.89. So we might start Galiev in the playoffs again because he's normally a good playoff goalie. But if we need to, we could always run with Guillermo as a different option. And these goalies pick up a goal? Nope. But they picked up a combined 5 assists. So our goalies even helped out with the offense this season. That's interesting. Let's take a look at the entire league for points. Look at that. Look at that. Agostino is going to win the Art Ross this season. It's going to be the first Arizona Coyote, I believe, in NHL history to win an Art Ross, because I don't think Michkov won one for us yet, but or maybe he did win one. I don't know. But either way, Tyler Agostino is going to finish first in the league in points, which is absolutely insane. Let's just actually go by forwards. Only 3 100-point guys this year as well. Best goal scorer of the season is going to be Victor Yip in Calgary. Interesting. But like once we get to the 40 goal scorers, we have like so much of them down there. Michkov, Shelley, and then we should also have Kagorodov right there. Damn, it's insane. Best defenseman for points this year was Bowen Byram in Colorado. So even though Colorado lost Makar, Byram was still really good. Merkley up there as well. Quinn Hughes, who's now in Chicago. We didn't have any defensemen up there. Was Chychrun anywhere up there? Yep, 48 points from Chychrun. So Chychrun actually outplayed Cale Makar this year. But I don't know if I would have paid him 6.755. But, I mean, we would have still had cap space available. So we technically could have brought him back, I guess. And then let go of Makar. Or not brought in Makar. So it kind of makes sense to do that. But it is what it is. Hopefully Chychrun has a good chance there with Seattle if we get eliminated. Best goalie is going to be, wow, Braden Ramsey in Buffalo. 55 wins. That is actually insane. 8 shutouts and 908. That guy just, that's a record, I believe, for most wins in a season by a goalie, right? 55 wins, it's got to be. And this guy was only making $1.8 million. Wow. Okay, that is interesting. Stefan Pettersson was up there as well, which is impressive. Kind of missed that guy. Ramsey had the most shutouts as well, not a surprise. Best save percentage was Dwyer with a 913 for Seattle. Best goals against average by a starter was Ramsey. So I'd say Ramsey probably will win the Vezina, but I don't know if it comes down to save percentage or not. Any goalie goals this year? No goalie goals. Most goalie assists was Primo and Ramsey with 4 assists. Interesting. Best rookie this year for points was Guy Latendresse in Philadelphia, followed by Postma in Dallas and Tanguay in Winnipeg. So there is that. That was a pretty interesting season. I never thought I'd see Agostino on the top of the points. Because, like, I don't know. He's just all of a sudden become a really good player since we brought in Michkov. Like, it's actually insane how good he is. Like, he's over point per game by 1 point in the playoffs, but regular season-wise, the last 4 years, he's been a 100-point player. Wow. Okay, so the question is, who are we going to be taking on in the first round of the playoffs? And that will be it for this episode, I think. It's going to be probably a team we've played before. Yep, it's going to be the Nashville Predators, who actually had one more win than us in the regular season, but we got home ice advantage because they finished lower in the standings. They went 50-27-5. We went 49-25-8. And both of us in our last 10 games going into the playoffs have been pretty good. We went 7-1-2. They went 8-1-1. So that's a little bit scary. Let's take a look at what their roster looks like. I'm pretty sure we played them either last year or the year before that. Don't remember exactly. So top line, Kirk Estrada, Eric Kolyakovo, and Emilio Coyle. So very solid top line there. Second line, Roy Tyrell, which I don't remember if he was there. No, they just brought this guy in at the trade deadline. 17 points in 19 games. Pretty solid. They also have Stuart Howes and Peyton Krebs. Third line, Matthew Pierce with Aaron Ortmeyer and Jason Robertson. And a fourth line of Jesper Boquist, Nicholas Robertson, and Tyson Jost. So they have both Robertson brothers, but they're not playing on the same line, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that's a really good forward core. I could see why they were a 50-win team this season. Hopefully we can knock them out, though. Defensively, Rick Versteeg and Phil Peronic. Second pairing of Matthew Boumedienne and Dallas Guerrero, our former defenseman that we let go of a few years ago. Yeah, he's been rock solid defensively with them the last few years. Not bad. And in the top 6 pairing is Matthias Samuelsson with Ariel Armsden. Interesting. So their defensive core is definitely a little bit weaker, but their forward core is absolutely insane. I like their forward core. And in goalie-wise, they have Pascal Lacroix, who we beat a few years ago in the Cup Finals when he played for New Jersey, so it must have been last year that we played them. And then they also have Clifford Moses, which is a really interesting name, drafted by the Bruins. Depth-wise, they have Nick Hague, Philip Hedel, and Tony Almond. So overall-wise, I don't know who's technically the better team. I feel like we're technically the better team in terms of all of these categories, but I really don't know. Let's just take a quick look actually at the overall comparison, like if I go into play game. Even though I'm not going to play the game, I just want to take a look and see what the game rates are overall and stuff like that. So we have a 98, 86, 80. So technically, they say that they're better in terms of defense and goaltending, which their defense is an 87, and goaltending is actually the same as ours. So, so they're just a better defensive team than us, I guess. Let's take a look at the regular season numbers just for a comparison quickly, and then that'll be it for this episode. Just because I'm curious on how their goals for was and stuff like that. So we finished 1 point above them. We're in the same division. We scored way more goals, obviously. We allowed a little bit more goals than they did. So yeah, they are a little bit better defensively, I guess. We had a little bit of a better power play, and they had a better penalty kill. They scored 7 shorthanded goals this year, so that's a bit scary. And they are pretty balanced in terms of being good on home ice and the road, unlike us, where we were dominant on the road and kind of 500-ish on home ice. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Predators as we look to kind of get ourselves back to Cup Finals again and see if we could get a third Stanley Cup in the last 5 years. Because if we don't get it this year, I feel like we're going to start to lose players and whatnot, and our team's eventually going to go back probably into that retooling phase and stuff like that that was mentioned a couple episodes ago. So I'm going to think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.